What's up, guys? Welcome to Broke and Stressed, a PT student podcast where we talk about our lives as broke and stressed physical therapy students. Throughout grad school, you'll come to find that the struggles that you're having happen all the time to thousands of students across the country. You are not alone. In this podcast, we'll share our personal stories and walk you through how we overcame some of our own struggles. I'm your host, Ruben. Let's have some fun, have some good conversation, and let's get into the episode. Hey guys, before we get into the episode, I just want to say that we did have some technical difficulties with this one, on my end especially with the audio. For some reason it was recording kind of wonky, so you might notice that when you're listening to it. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice that the video kind of switches partway through, and that's because my camera died, and so I had to switch back to the Zoom video. So that'll explain kind of the technical difficulties that I had with this episode, but without further ado, let's get into it.
All right, guys, welcome to episode 6 of Broken Stress. Today I have a special guest with me. We have Jane. Say hi, Jane.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jane. I'm a third-year DPT student at the University of St. Augustine in California. And then California. And then I'm on my last and final rotation in Eureka, California. Nice to meet you guys.
And Jane, you graduate in August, right?
Yes, I graduate in 2 months, so it's coming.
Dude, how do you feel?
I'm excited, but it's kind of scary, right? Because it's finally here that you get to graduate, but then you have to really start thinking about, paying your loans off and getting a job, being a big girl, adulting. So, it's all good. Well, I'll figure it out.
Love adulting.
Yes, we all do.
So I want to talk about what your clinical experience is like, since you're at the tail end of your clinicals. I've only had one clinical, so I don't have too much experience. I'm interested to know how your experiences have been so far.
Okay, so I am on my last rotation. So my first rotation was 6 weeks, and it was at a inpatient acute care setting in Florida. It was a huge hospital. And then my second one was in a outpatient ortho/outpatient neuro clinic in a small town in Victoria, Texas. And my third one, where I'm at right now, is in Eureka, California, which is outpatient neuro and some acute care rehab. So I've been kind of all over in different states.
Yeah, I was going to say, how's that experience of wow, you went to Florida, Texas, and you're back in California? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm obviously in a new town, new city, new people, and you have to get used to that. But I think it's great, for people or for students, if you're able to get a rotation that's out of your comfort zone. I feel like you do get to learn a lot about yourself, about being independent, and just growing up. You grow up a lot. So I think my inpatient acute care, which was in Florida, it was, I personally, I like outpatient neuro. Inpatient acute care wasn't really my thing. Yeah. But I went in with a mindset of an open mind. I was like, okay, I'm still wanting to learn. Let's see what happens. And I definitely learned a lot. And I remember, preparing for that rotation. As a student, you're like, okay, I need to study before. I need to get ready for clinicals. So you start reviewing. You review tons of material. I reviewed ortho stuff like MMTs, MLTs, special tests, evaluation forms. When I got to the inpatient acute care setting, it was all about bed mobility, transfers, gait
so
training.
Different. Yeah.
Yes. And I basically spent 4 days reviewing for it, and all of it was not really used during my setting. So that's one of the things that I learned from that experience is if you're going to review beforehand, make sure you review things that are related to your
right thing,
to your rotation. So yeah. How about you? Where was your setting at?
So mine was also an inpatient. So it's weird because our first clinical happens at the end of first year. So we have 4 in total, but this one's 2 weeks only. So it's kind of like a sneak peek clinical. Yeah. So I was inpatient. Honestly, so going in, I only knew about outpatient clinics and outpatient physical therapy. No idea what inpatient was. But during our coursework, our school is heavily inpatient, all about bed mobility, all about lines and tubes and all that stuff. So I was kind of ready. I was like, you know what, let's get it over with. Because I felt like this is going to be harder than outpatient. I thought it was. Yeah. And I learned a lot. It was awesome. It was kind of a big learning curve for sure. But my CI was nice in that they kind of gave me enough, the perfect amount of guidance so that, at first I started observing, but by the end of middle or beginning of the second week, I was doing like evals
That's
and like
great.
comfortable. Obviously, she was there, but like
Yes, of
I was
course.
like I was like doing evals, and like if I ever had questions, I'd like just turn to my side and ask her. But it was great. I really enjoyed it, and I know people talk about like, oh, you never know what field you're gonna go into when you graduate,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of true. Like I still want to direct myself towards outpatient as a career, but like I could definitely see myself doing inpatient, like or working there. I really enjoyed it when I didn't think I
Yeah.
would. Would you feel the
Yeah.
same way, or?
Well, on my end, like I told you before, going in, my mind was already set on outpatient neuro. That's where I want to go
Yeah.
into. And after doing the rotation, I will be honest, for acute care, it confirmed for me personally that I do not want to go into
You didn't like it?
inpatient acute care. It's not that it's not that I didn't like it, but
Mhm.
it's just, for me, it was just, I think like the biggest thing was, at least in my rotation, it really was hard for me emotionally, because a lot of the patients, I worked with a lot of post-op ortho patients, and a lot of them were in a lot of pain, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
then
so true.
yeah, right. And most of my population was aged like 60 to 100 years old. So they
Yeah.
already had a lot of comorbidities. They were, on top of the surgical pain and what they're going through, they're dealing with other
Mhm.
health issues. So then as a therapist, when I would go in, I don't know, I had a lot of patients who were dealing with depression, were very suicidal, and kind of wanted to give up. And so,
Yeah.
having every patient kind of like that every day, it really got to me. Like I would actually go,
Yeah.
the first 2 weeks I was like crying, because at the end, because I just felt I took in
Oh no.
I took in their emotions, and I feel it. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
god, you want to save them. I do think that working in an inpatient acute care takes a specific type of person who is able to, emotionally not detach, but know how to manage their emotions,
Yeah, for
be able
sure.
to to be able to do the job, but, kind of take a step back a little bit. So for your own health and mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever experience that at all?
No, dude, actually, yeah. So I did. So I said I liked that towards the end, but going in, I was like, shoot, this is kind of stressful. Like, these people, like you said, have like a lot of comorbidities. They're a lot more sick, and
Right.
they're going
Mm-hmm.
through a lot of pain. And it's kind of, when you get there, it's pretty real. It's like you see these patients, and sometimes the most you'll do in a session is like bed mobility. Like, can you go from the bed to sitting at the edge of bed, and maybe stand up a couple times, sit to stand? And
Yep.
that's like that tires them out. It's very different than working with an athlete, like outpatient.
Of
And
course.
I remember, like you said, it does take a lot. It's very specific. You got to get used to that kind of thing. And it sounds kind of bad, but you're a little numb to it. I remember
Ye-
one time I was working, there was a code blue, and then everyone's rushing to a room, and I was on the floor. I was just done with a patient, and I was like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "Oh, someone's, it was a code blue," and I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, that's scary." And then I see some people running to the room, and then I see them all like start leaving the room slowly. I overhear the nursing staff, and it's like, "Oh, she was a DNR." I'm like, you
Oh,
just say that casually? Someone just is about to die. Like, that's, I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know how you can grow numb to that. I guess it's part of the job, because, like, yeah, if it were to take on the emotional toll of that with each patient, that would be very daunting on you.
Exactly. Like I said,
Yeah.
I think it takes a certain type of person to work in every setting, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that inpatient acute can be, it can be sad. And then I can relate to that, because I had two patients where they weren't the best in health, and they just had surgery, and, they weren't doing and responding well to the surgery. So when I was going in as a PT, the nurse just told me, hey, she's not doing well. Most likely, probably a few more days left for her. This is my first time. This is my first week,
That's,
and I
that's
looked at
your
my
first week? Oh my.
I looked at my CI, and I was like, what as a PT, what can I do? Like, and she's bed bound. She's super weak. She has dementia. She's out of it. And my CI just reminded me. She told me, just do some palliative care. Just try to make her comfortable. So do some like light bed mobility to prevent pressure ulcers, and just educate the family about what is happening and what you as a therapist are trying to provide right now, right? So include the family member into the care. So I think that was really important. So I addressed the son who was there first, and kind of giving him a rundown of what therapy does right now, why it's important. And I think that helps with the family and the patient being okay with therapy, right? So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, that's what happened there.
And that's wild.
Yeah, but I mean, I do have experience. I'm not gonna lie, with my first CI in inpatient acute care, we got along, but not at the same time. So I'm just saying, you will probably run into a CI that you don't really connect with immediately or right away, and that's okay. So, there are things that she was so stuck on her ways of where she was, taught in school and doing like a bed mobility or transfer training or how do you do slide boards and stuff like that. And, I kind of tested the water a little bit in the first couple of weeks. So I would just kind of provide my input like, oh, hey, would it be okay if I try this versus, and then you kind of can see their reaction if they're open to it or not. So I think, when you kind of have a CI that you don't really get along with, or if they're not as open as you would like to your ideas or opinions, it's okay. You just sometimes you just have to just do what you're told sometimes, but as long as you're keeping the patient safe though. So patient safety first.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Like your CI and that relationship really kind of can make and break your experience, you know?
Yes.
So you really
Definitely.
have to, I don't want to say suck it up, but like sometimes you really got to know, like the battle, you have to pick the battles that you can fight,
Exactly, yeah.
It's like, it's rough because you still have to learn from them and hopefully you don't get off on a wrong foot with them. But yeah, that relationship is super key. Like,
yeah, like communication.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's why the first, I mean, me personally, with establishing good communication with my CI, I try to establish it like by the first week. And what I'll do is like on the first day of my rotation, I'll just straight up ask my CI, hey, so, I like and enjoy receiving feedback. So I was just wondering, when would it be an appropriate time for us to set up a time for me to receive feedback? Or when would be a okay time for me to ask questions, regarding a patient that you're working on? So we're on the same page and I don't want to interrupt you or anything like that.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
yeah. So after my first rotation, my second and third rotation, I started doing that and it helps a lot.
It went a lot better. Yeah.
Yes.
How was your CI for your second and third? Were those better relationships or like?
Yeah. So actually my second rotation in outpatient ortho, I had 2 CIs. So it was interesting. I had 2 CIs. One was an outpatient ortho specialist, and the other one was a neuro specialist. So it's kind of cool. I got to learn from both. And I did the same thing with both, asking them the questions of how I can provide or they can provide feedback for me. And then what also helped is my CI during that rotation actually set like time aside during our lunchtime. Like he would say, okay, hey, during lunch, you can ask me any questions you have, for the morning. Let's go through it and let's discuss the patients if you have any questions, things like that. So I think that helped a lot, help guide me through my thinking process too. And then what also helped is before I would ask my CI a question, let's say I have, because my second internship, I had trouble with exercise progression because for patients, I would either under exercise them or not.
Or over.
I would under challenge them or I would over challenge. So I was trying to find the happy medium. So with my CI, with patients I was not sure about, I would make a list of exercises or things I had in mind, and then and then present it to him, and then that way my CI liked it because he was able to see and understand where my head was at, like what kind of things I was thinking, rather than me just showing up and being like, hey, I don't know what to do with this patient, and then it's kind of like him disputing out, exercises and what to do, but it's rather him guiding me in the right direction and changing my critical thinking. So how about you? Did you, with your CI, how was it with communication?
I think it was perfect. She pretty much gave it to me a lot in the beginning, a lot of feedback initially just after the patient, she'd give, when I was just observing, she'd be like, oh, what do you think about this? What did you notice in her chart? Like, what's your thoughts on what we should do today for her activity level? And then, she kept on asking me and giving me probing questions and making me think, which I really liked.
Yeah.
it really depends on the type of person you are and the type of your person your CI is. Like
Yep.
understanding how you work and how they work, try to find a nice middle ground.
Right. I agree. So just try to, keep an open and honest conversations, and yeah, I think too, if there's something that makes you uncomfortable, like as a student, sometimes, your CI puts you on the spot, right?
Yeah. Oh,
You're
yeah.
just like, they're just like, okay, hey, so what is leg calf perthes and what would you do with this patient or right in front of the patient, right? But, I think it's great that they try to challenge you because it makes you really have to think and also learn how to stay calm under pressure, especially in front of a patient. So I think it helps with confidence too. I had that happen last week.
Oh, yeah, you told me about it.
Yeah, I told you the story, and I'm just saying because I had a patient, and he was a spinal cord injury patient, had a lot of spasticity in his knees and elbows. My CI had me check out his spasticity and feel for it, and then she was just like, okay, so what numbers would you give the spasticity? I was just like, what in my head? Okay, I was like, what? It's been a while. It's been 6 months since I took my last neuro class, so I just had to, think. And I was honest with my CI. I just told her, hey, honestly, I'm not too familiar with it right now. Let me review the modified Ashworth scale, and then I'll get back to you. I just want to make sure that I give you correct information and all that. And she, like I said, she really appreciated that because I was being honest.
Yeah.
And that segues to, it's okay to not know everything, right? Because you can always review, look back at your notes, like during lunch or in between patients that you have, you can always look back. So, because I actually had a lot of students ask me recently, they're about to go on to internship, and they're like, hey, I feel like not ready for internship. I don't remember a lot of things from ortho, from neuro. I'm freaking out. Like, how do I prepare? And then, I told them, just like we talked about, review material that is related to your rotation. But then, it's, you're not going to be able to review everything. And I told them, you'll be fine. Once you start working and getting out there, you'll kind of know what you need to review once you're out working with patients. Because then you'll be like, oh, I forgot how to do MMT of the glute. I forgot how to do a special test, right? And then you can kind of review it during lunch or when you have the time. Yeah. Do you know when your next rotation is?
So my next one projected is going to be starting in August, I believe.
In August, what setting is it?
It's going to be outpatient ortho.
Okay, see, there you go. So then for outpatient ortho, do you have a review plan or what you're going to do?
Yeah. So I've been kind of making a review or study guide just by myself with all my notes and stuff. So I've been working on that.
Oh, one thing that I would recommend. I did this with all of my rotations. 2 weeks before each rotation, I emailed my CI and just asked them if there was any, resources or materials that they wanted me to review or feel like I need to review prior to the rotation that was relevant. So then that way it's more of a guided study session, right? Versus studying stuff and hitting and missing. You don't know what to expect. And that helped a lot, I feel like. So yeah, definitely give that a try. And then currently right now on this rotation, this is outpatient neuro. It's all new to me. I never had a neuro rotation, but I think it's great because I was going to say, don't be afraid to get hands-on. It's scary at first because sometimes you feel like you're not ready. You don't know how to do something, right? But I think the only way you can learn is if you really get hands-on and just practice your skills. So I don't know, have you taken your neuro classes yet?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So my first 2 weeks working with people with Parkinson's and then spinal cord injuries, the only, hands-on work I've had is with PT students, with each other, right? But we're very mobile. So, when we're doing it on each other, it's kind of like you kind of cheat a little bit. You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to move your hip here. But this time around, after the first week, I kind of wanted to get hands-on a little bit more. And I just actually went up to my CI and asked her, hey, is it okay if I can, on the next patient, can I do the mat work with her? Can I help with her pelvis? Can I do some weight bearing exercises with her? That I saw you do it, so it's okay if I do it. And she was like, yeah, sure, great. So I was just gonna segue into don't be afraid to advocate for yourself, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because sometimes if you don't speak up, then there's going to be, weeks sometimes where you're just standing there and you're just watching. But I feel like if you feel, ready, or you just want to like start learning, I think don't be afraid to ask your CI.
Yeah,
and you'll be
definitely.
surprised at like their reaction.
Yeah, like especially in those kind of situations, the worst they could say is no right now, and they could probably teach you later, like individually. Like, so I know we had one clinical visit where I was working outpatient, and then our CI was doing a demonstration of like a knee mobilization, and we had to learn that in class. So I was like, would it be cool if I can like practice that or learn how to do that? And she's like, not right now, since she's with the patient, obviously. So I was wondering,
Yeah.
hopefully, fingers crossed, she would have let me. But she's like, I'll show you later though after the patient, and we can demonstrate it, and you guys can. It was like me paired up with another person, so like I can go through it with both of you guys. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. The worst
Yeah,
thing they could
right.
say is like no, but at least
And,
you tried, and it shows that you want to learn something and want to try something. I think that speaks volume.
especially because you're like very curious and you keep asking questions. So
Mhm.
I agree. And then another thing is, I remember I think my first and my second rotation, I actually was paired with another student.
Mhm.
So I don't know about you. Did you have that experience too?
I was paired with another student, but we had two different CIs. So
Okay.
some days where one of our CI was gone and we were paired together. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
kind of like we were paired, but not really.
How did you like it? I mean, like just being paired with another student, like what were your initial reactions, or were you
I didn't
open to
mind at
it?
all. I was close with her. I actually did a podcast with her a couple weeks ago.
Oh, awesome.
But yeah, we were close enough and we are like open enough for us to be like, hey, can I take the lead for this patient since I've worked with them before, and then you could kind of just help me out with other things. And I was like,
Y-
fine with it. And we just switched off.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I was gonna say, because my first and second rotation, I was paired up with a student. Me personally, I'm not gonna lie, like, and it's one CI to two students. So in my head, I was just like, okay, I don't like. I love,
You want to alter yourself.
I was like, I mean, my initial
My
reaction was,
CI, not yours.
yeah. I mean, sharing is caring, like they say, but I want to learn as much as can,
Of
right?
course,
And
yeah.
so my first initial reaction was, I don't know if I like this, like, because
Mhm.
it's kind of like your time is split with another student, but I actually really liked it. It was really the pros weighed out the cons,
Yeah.
because having another student, you can definitely bounce off ideas and learn from them too, right? Because if they're
Mhm.
coming from a different school or university, it's kind of interesting to see what they're learning and their thoughts are. And then the other thing is like that too. If there was a patient that I wanted to work with, like I wanted more time and help with vestibular patients, so more
Mhm.
experience with that, and the other student would have that patient, I would just trade off. I'm like, hey, do you mind if you trade off? And I work with this patient, you work with the ortho patient, and it worked out, you know.
Yeah,
And
for
plus,
sure.
yeah, and plus you have a body that you can practice things on.
Mhm.
So that was really fun.
Yeah.
But
I think that kind of goes along the same lines of the relationship with the CI, like if you're partnered up with someone, just open communication and like knowing how you guys work,
yep.
as long as you're able to be like, hey, I'm struggling with like doing a range of motion on this, like these kind of patients. Can I take the lead on this for this part of the eval or something like that? As long as you're open and honest with the communication, like I don't think people are gonna say no. I don't think people are gonna be like, no, I want to do it. I want to do it.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
you'll have a civil discussion. I don't think it's ever gonna be the case where completely shut you out.
No, I definitely agree. But yeah, I mean, so far I feel like all my clinical rotations, I think you learn different things from each. But I think right now for this one, what I've learned is it's important to ask questions, right? And
Mhm.
just get hands on. Just really just get hands on. Trying to think, and then currently my CI and I, we actually get along pretty well because she's 3 years out, so
Yeah.
she's still kind of young. But for her, the way she's been doing it with me, the first 3 weeks, she would watch over me a little bit. And then this is my 6 week actually now. She's kind of letting me go full on 100% just me.
Yeah.
And, and it's great because there are times when I really am struggling with the patient. Like I don't know what to do, but
Mhm.
it makes you think. I'm like, okay, like today I had a patient, she also has a lot of gait instability. weakness in the lower extremities. Upper extremities also weak because she had a CVA. She had a lot of back pain today, pain with weight bearing, pain with any type of movement. So I just had her supine and just did some basic low extremity like heel slides, ankle pumps, hip abduction, all that stuff. But you have to think really quick because a lot of times the patients won't present the way you think when they come in. They might have a good day or bad day. So definitely learning to adapt.
Well, Jane, do you have any other things that people have asked you, like people like on Instagram or whatever that ask you about things to prep for clinicals that we haven't already talked about today?
Yeah, I think just a few. So the first thing is documentation. And I talked about this on my Instagram, but
everyone's favorite, documentation.
Yes. So basically the first couple of days of my rotation, I will ask my CI for their progress note, eval, daily note, just so I can get an idea of their writing style, their verbiage, and what they find is important to include in the documentation, right? Because at the end of the day, that documentation is under their name. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's great that, we are writing the notes, but then at the end of the day, it's under their name. So in a way, your documentation style has to be very similar to theirs. And also, this helps with getting the treatment covered under insurance. So that's a great important thing. Another thing is I like to carry around like a little notebook. I go to like Walmart, it's like 58 cents. Mm-hmm. I get like a couple. And then in that notebook, like every day, I'll jot down something that I need to review. Like if I saw a patient today and I forgot how to do the MCL special test or checking Craig's test, right? Or doing Craig's test. I just kind of jot it down, and then the night of or the morning of the next day, I'll go ahead and review that material. And then I'll also jot down kind of things that like my CI gives me, like her feedback. I think it's important that you absorb, like as they're giving you feedback and you're learning all these things throughout the day, that's great. But then it's knowing how to absorb the information and then actually use it, right? So I study it the night of or the morning before, and then whatever I had like weaknesses in, I'll try to apply that to the next patient, right? So for example, I had my first vestibular patient my last rotation, and she had BPPV.
Oh,
and
I love BPPV.
Yeah, it was my first ever, right? But she was very high angst, stressed, extremely dizzy. So when I first saw her, you forget the emotional component. Like she's been for a whole year, been super dizzy, been dealing with it. So she was almost on the brink of crying already when I first came in.
Dang.
So just me trying like the Epley maneuver, just putting my hands on her head, it just already freaked her out. So I wasn't able to get her into the Epley maneuver position or anything like that because she was so high angst. But I think from that, like I wrote down, I was like, okay, I actually went back and learned about like pain neuroscience education because, that's the psychological aspect of knowing how to communicate with the patient and try to calm down their nervous system. I think that was important in that situation. So, and I learned that from my CI. He's like, if people are very high angst and stressed, you need to calm down the nervous system and tell them that it's okay, that it's just your nervous system is on high alert and we just need to bring it down a little bit. You can teach them some breathing techniques and things like that. So that was my experience. It was a hot mess. Okay. My first vestibular patient was a hot mess. But then from reviewing pain neuroscience education stuff, my next patient I had with BPPV, I kind of used some techniques that I learned from the pain neuroscience, and it worked. Calming down the nervous system, kind of just talking to her about it, educating her, and then it worked out.
There you go.
Yeah. But how about you? Do you have any like tips, last minute tips or anything like that you would like to share?
Other than like what we talked about with developing that CI relationship and like reviewing beforehand, I think just mentally, just preparing to just have an open mind and just be ready to learn. I think no matter how prepared you are, you're still going to have those experiences where you're learning, on the job, and you're like learning new things and how to put into your practice that you could have never learned from just in the classroom, So I think just having that open mind, being receptive to feedback, being receptive to just learn, like progressively improving your practice, And just knowing that, you're not going to get it right the first time, like
Yeah.
you're literally there to learn and to practice.
Exactly.
You're not going to be all-star the first week of your clinical, you know what I mean? Or the first patient that you have independently. You're like, that's not going to happen. So being kind to yourself and allowing that room for growth, mental growth for yourself is super key.
I agree. Yeah, because I've had many, first evaluations, which was just, did not go well. But, as long as you stay confident, just try to reassure the patient, and you just be safe with the patient. I always say that, no matter what you do, make sure you're just being safe with the patient. It's better to be more cautious than not. If you've got trying something with the patient, talk to your CI first if you can. But if not, rather just hold off on whatever intervention you want to do till later. So I agree.
For sure.
Definitely with you.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you so much, Jane, for being on the podcast today. I had a great time talking to you.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I talked a lot. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
That's
why we're here.
Yeah. I definitely enjoyed talking to you, and then hopefully this helps, a lot of other students. But
yeah. Definitely. So I want to thank you. Oh, I forgot to do this. I'm supposed to start every episode like this, but for some reason I forgot today. So we're going to end like this.
Okay.
So Jane, it's tradition for me to ask every guest that I bring on for them to just share a fun, embarrassing moment from PT school that you haven't shared already. No cheating.
That is really hard. A fun, embarrassing moment in PT school. I don't know. I think. Okay, let me go through all my classes.
Okay.
I mean, I guess the only kind of embarrassing one I can think of right now is I was in my soft tissue class, right? And then, we were doing not practicals, but practicing the soft tissue skills on each other. Yeah. And I had a bottle of Gatorade right on the floor. And then I'm just saying it's Gatorade. I don't know. Yeah. And then my professor walks by and she was just like, she's like, why are you drinking Gatorade? I'm like, because I love Gatorade. And then, she was just like, oh, so what'd you do last night? And I'm like, I was studying. And then my classmate, who's my partner, one of my best friends, she's like, come on, Dr. C, why would you think that Jane's doing that? And I'm like seriously, right? But then I'm just saying, I'm not gonna lie, in PD school, the night before, we had a birthday, so we were, hanging out and drinking. Yes. But then half the class had Gatorade, in near their tables. So then that's why she got pretty what? She's like, what'd you guys do last night?
What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, we're studying for the practical, which is in 2 days. And we're like, we were up late last night studying for the practicals. Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty funny because,
Did she buy it, you think?
She didn't buy it.
Okay.
she was just like, and because she's like, there's half of you guys with Gatorade here, and she's like, half of you guys look dead, and it was just we're like, Dr. C, no, we're no,
we're good
not at
students.
all. Yeah. But that's another segue just to say, PT school is difficult and hard, so it's okay to still, have fun. Find time to have fun for yourself, hang out with friends, go for a walk, in between study sessions and things like that. So
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, guys, and that's going to wrap up the episode. Thank you for everyone that tuned in, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Later, guys.
All right, bye.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to today's episode of Broke and Stressed. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure to smash that follow or subscribe button to get notified whenever new episodes are released. If you want to connect with me on social media, you can find me on YouTube or Instagram. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.